in international news, CETA, European trade deal. It's an amazing story coming from Belgium, where something that's not directly analogous to the TPP, but similar to the conversations that we're having in the United States with regard to the TPP is actually playing out in a trade deal between Canada and the European Union. So there's a section, the southern portion of Belgium called Wallonia. It's a French-speaking region. It alone has blocked the trade deal between the entire European Union and Canada. And I want you to listen to the numbers involved here. All right, we'll get into the substance of it, but it's just fascinating that this small group of people, 3.6 million people in Wallonia, has blocked a trade deal that would involve 508 million people in the European Union. So CETA is a comprehensive, it actually stands for the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. Here's the problem, and here's why Belgium, and this one section of Belgium, is capable of holding it up. It requires the ratification of all 28 member states' national parliaments and 10 regional parliaments. And underneath Belgian rules, the national government cannot sign the deal unless all 5 local governments agree to it. Wallonia is the only region that resisted it, putting the entire deal in jeopardy. So you have the 27 member states who have already signed on to it. Belgium is the only one that has not. And out of the 5 regions, 4 of them have agreed to it. It's just Wallonia who has stopped it. So it's just fascinating that this deal has been predicated upon like a unanimous consent across all the nations, across all the divisions of the nation, all the regions of the nation. So the Parliament of Wallonia rejected the deal. It's a staunchly socialist region of about 3.6 million people, and that region, that's the contingent that has led the resistance. So it's their opinion. They believe that CETA and deals like it give too much power to multinationals, power even to intimidate, quote unquote, intimidate governments. Then this is where it draws some parallels with TPP, right? Specifically, they're talking to the tribunals and the ability of corporations to sue nation states because of policies, domestic policies that corporations feel hurt their bottom line. And so from this perspective, it is actually a brilliant and beautiful statement of the power of a small group of people. We're talking less than 1% of the European Union has the ability to stop the entire European Union from getting into a trade deal that they feel is detrimental to the environment, to workers' rights, to the sovereignty of their nations. So from that perspective, I think it's actually poetry in motion. So specifically, the terms of the deal, Canada and the European Union would eliminate 98% of tariffs. That's significant, right? 98% of their standing tariffs. They estimate that would increase trade by 20% and would, quote unquote, especially help small businesses. Everything is always sold as something that can help small businesses. Exporters would save 500 million euro in duties annually. However, the critics say that the deal threatens product standards and protects big businesses, allowing corporations to sue the government. So you can see the parallels already between CETA and the TPP. The deal is opposed by anti-globalization groups who say that it is a test model to push through even more controversial EU-US trade agreement. So this is sort of a prelude, or not even a prelude. It's kind of like the simultaneous storyline happening somewhere else at the same time, right? We're discussing the TPP and the problems of the TPP, specifically with the infringement on sovereignty, the tribunals being able to make judgments and receive compensation for any policies that they deem detrimental to their profits, right? This entire move, this globalized world that seems and feels and is all but inevitable. You have less than 1% of the European Union saying no. some of it now, to be fair, right, in terms of there's some stark differences, right? So we're talking about developed nations in general. So the biggest difference is, the protection of labor and competition. You're competing with Canada. You're competing with people who are going to work for, in a minimum $30,000 a year, right? You're not competing against people who can live on 5 cents a day. And that probably was extreme. I don't know, but I'm just giving you you get the picture, right? We're not competing with people who can live on incomes that we couldn't live on for a single day. So it's not apples to apples with the TPP, but conceptually the problems with it, right? The problems, particularly with the tribunal. I actually respect Wallonia's take on the tribunals. Their take on the tribunal is actually rather reasonable. And it's amazing that the entire deal is falling apart because of this is one of the reasons, right? They're asking for more transparency on the tribunals. They need more transparency on how the tribunals are set up and the people are selected to be on the tribunal. So if they gave transparency in that regard, that would alleviate one of the major problems they have with the deal. But it's amazing that transparency is one of the things that is blocking the deal from actually taking place. So the question is, how important is it for the people who have written the deal and the people who are signing the deal to not offer that level of transparency? Well, I'll let you guys ruminate over that and let you make the call. But I think it speaks volumes to the requirement to have 100% of the nations involved, of the European Union nations involved, and then Belgium itself to have 100% of their regions to sign on to it. I just can't imagine. To me, that seems like an impossible hurdle to overcome. And in the face of an impossible hurdle, they had everybody except for this one small portion of Belgium that says, no, this is not a deal that we want to sign on.